Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be ranking all 93 brawlers in the game right now, from the very worst all the way up to the very best in a tier list. We're going to be putting them in individual tiers. And if you guys don't know already, I'll be on my honeymoon right now, but this tier list will be very accurate. It'll just be swept through pretty quickly, so make sure to strap in and make sure to subscribe for all future content. And without further ado, let's jump into our F tier event. So this F tier, actually, I didn't put it in order, but to be honest, I don't know who the worst brawler in the game is. There's just a lot of really bad brawlers. The first brawler being Grom, and I know what people are thinking straight away. Grom isn't that bad, but he is in pro play. He's just absolutely terrible, and there's so many brawlers with really good hypercharges that can just get pressure for free, and Grom just can't deal with it. He can't hit shots easily, so he's easily in the F tier in my opinion. Jessie as well, I think she's fallen into the F tier. Hypercharge is pretty much useless. She really has pitiful damage when you think about it, and I don't even see the noobs pick Jessie, and that's when you know she's bad in the meta. Sam, for me, is going to remain in the F tier. Could be at very most top of D tier, but I still think the hypercharge just takes way too long to get, and it's actually just not beneficial. And the same goes with Ems as well. She's got a damage buff, but it's Ems. She's so easy to kill. At low ranks, she seems really good. The pros are never picking Ems because she's just a walking free kill. So now we're going to be moving on to our D tier brawlers. So these brawlers are only really good in super niche situations. Outside of that, they're just outskilled or just outclassed by the majority of the brawlers. So first off, we've got Chuck in the D tier. So of course, he's going to be really good in high. Outside of it, he's absolutely terrible, and even when he gets his hypercharge, I don't really see him bumping up many tiers, to be honest, unless there's some really cheesy strategies I don't know about, but I think his hypercharge takes way too long to get. Edgar has really slipped down the meta in my opinion. It's really difficult for Edgar to even win a 1v1 at the moment. His hypercharge takes too long to get. I just don't think he's good enough in this meta, plain and simple. Same goes with Meeple. Meeple received like a 200 damage buff nerf, sorry, a couple of months ago, and it completely dropped him down the meta. You don't see him in pro play whatsoever. He gets overrun way too easily right now. Same goes with Fang as well. Fang received a super damage buff. People will be saying in the comments, oh, he's got a lot better. Trust me, he just hasn't. He hasn't got better whatsoever. His hypercharge takes way too long to get, and that's why he's running in the D tier. Clancy is good when you really need that tank counter, but I still feel like maybe he probably is F tier, just because his hypercharge is just an extension of an already good super. BB's again good at lower levels, but even in highs, you didn't really see her too much. Honestly, could be getting close to the F tier now. Rosa received a big damage buff, but it's Rosa. I just feel like there's not enough good matchups for her in this meta, so she's remaining D tier. Colt as well, not even being used in pro play in heist. That's when you know Colt sucks. His hypercharge isn't good either. A low-key could be going towards the F tier as well. Penny in the D tier. Again, a lot of people are going to be really confused at this, but trust me, Penny gets ran all over way too easily in pro play. She hasn't been picked in pro, I think, outside of maybe Hot Zone in months and months now, so Penny's just not that good anymore. Shelly can be good in the right matchup and a little bit underrated in some cases, but I just think she gets outclassed by the generic lane. Maisie has been like C tier and lower in the meta for literally the entirety of this year, and nothing is going to change about her. Rust as well, I think the only place he can use Rust is probably Hard Rock Mine, and I don't think I've ever seen a Rust outside of that. He's just too squishy. He gets pressured way too easily. His hypercharge just is a little bit awkward. Gale got a super charge rate buff from his super, which did help him a little bit in terms of his hypercharge, but his hypercharge still takes so long to charge up, so he's still going to remain in D tier. Miko's going to be slipping down the meta a little bit. You know, he's really good in heist, but I feel like people are learning the strategies to actually counter him now. For example, literally picking RT in heist to counter Miko's, a few other instances as well, but he's still really good in heist right now. Surge, he's going to be going down to the D tier. I don't know whether, well, he's probably dropped off in the meta for a very long time now. He's just way too squishy. His hypercharge isn't even that good, and pros haven't played Surge for a long time as well. And lastly, Pam. So Pam received that big damage buff, and I probably overreacted a little bit on that. I thought she was going to be like high B tier because I think that was such a big damage buff, but it's still clear to me that Pam probably needs some type of rework in the future. She needs a hypercharge. She needs a little bit of love because she just gets far too outclassed. There's only a couple of maps where I'd say she's even good on. So now let's move on to our C tier brawlers. So most of these I would say are just a little bit weaker than average. or maybe getting close to the B tier as well. Start off with Leon. So Leon does have his underrated use cases when we're talking about bounty, but outside of that now, I just think he's just getting way too outclassed and his hyper charge takes too long to make an impact in the game. Otis is starting to slip really far down the meta at the moment. I think there's just way better safe picks than him, and that was literally only his use case in the meta where you'd pick him on those bushier maps, and he's still not getting played there right now, so he's just very underwhelming. Same goes with Sprout as well. You used to always pick him on these bounty and knockout maps, and now he just gets pressured too easily. Type charge just isn't good, and he's not as versatile as the other throws in the game. Mortis can be good in the right hands, as I always say, requires really good ping, but as a late pick can be super dangerous because that hyper charge is completely busted. But in pro level, it's gonna just be pretty much impossible to even charge one in a game. Well, not impossible, you know what I mean? It takes a very long time. Only good in gem grab. Dynamite as well, only good as a super late pick, and I still think there's much safer options out there, but a good Dynamite can still pop off. He has those moments. Poco, ever since the gadget nerfs, it's just completely killed him in the meta. You don't see him literally at all in pro play, maybe outside of like triple dribble and a few other instances. Primo is such a good counter pick when we're talking about straight into those tanks, so he's good for that reason, but outside of Brawl and maybe in a few other small niche situations, he's not really picked. Brock can be good as a counter pick to open up the map on like knockout, bounty, but still gets outclassed by the other snipers. Nani, such a good counter pick when it comes down to other snipers and knockout and bounty, but if you pick Nani any earlier on, you just throw him because Nani can get pressured so easily by so many different brawlers in this meta. Jackie, since the HP nerf, I think has dropped off a lot more than people realize. It's only 600 HP, I think, but that actually makes it a big difference. You can really feel it, but there's still some like cheesy strategies going on with Jackie and Gray. Kit, I think Kit has dropped down the meta just a little bit. The hype charge is coming out next month, so expect Kit to probably be in the S tier once that comes out. But for now, only good in knockout and bounty, and I still think there's just too many counters right now for Kit. And Daryl, Spike will always just be okay. Spike is just Spike. He's just average in the meta, but there are some good use cases for him in Heist with Pop and Pincushion. And inside a sneaky field, Lola is just very meh at the moment. She's not even a good safe pick, so low-key could be going towards the D tier. The hypercharge is just so overrated. It takes so long to get and just gets taken down really easily. Colette is going to be dropping a tier mainly because she's not even that good in Heist right now. I mean, the hypercharge is still okay, but I just feel like there's so many brawlers that just counter Colette in a 1v1 situation. And now with so many brawlers with hypercharges, that also changes the interactions with Colette, because if they get that shield boost, it will take like an extra shot to kill pretty much every brawler in the game. So yeah, annoying for Colette. Buzz as well, he's always on like the edge of C and B tier. His hypercharge is very, very good. With the recent bug that was out, he was like the best brawler inside of a game, but without it, he's just pretty mid, I'll say. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but he hasn't received a buff in a very long time. Next, we've got Eve. So Eve is a really good draft brawler. We see this very often. But then again, she's only a good draft brawler because she's just a safe pick. Like, she can just be okay against a lot of different things. So whether it be low B tier, high C tier, she's just kind of met in the meta. Nita, I think she's fell off a lot. She used to be such a safe option. That was mainly because she was paired really well with like Max. But as a standalone brawler, she just struggles to get in range of a lot of different options. And even in Heist, I just think so many people can just ignore her, and you'd rather just get better damage with their main attack. So tanks, you'd rather just go tanks, you'd rather go Edgar, or rather go Miko, rather than Anita inside of Heist. You've also got Mo, who is just criminally underrated. He has such a low pick and play rate, well, same thing in pro play and in ranked as well. But I just think people are sleeping on him. He's not that bad. It's just normally there's a better option, but when you play him, he's surprisingly really good, especially in Brawl and inside of Hot Zone. And lastly, Tick. Whenever I go Tick, I just get overrun really easily. I think in pro play, sometimes he can be a safe option, but for the most part, I think he's really starting to struggle now in this meta. So now let's move over to your B tier brawlers. There's a lot of brawlers in this tier, just because I think there's a lot of really good options in this meta. Start off in the low B tier is Sandy, so I could have easily put Sandy in C tier as well. Don't think Sandy's really been seen in competitive for a couple of months now. It takes a little bit too long to get the hypercharge, but I think overall Sandy's an okay pick when it comes down to like Brawl and Gem Grab. Meg in the meta in pro play might be low-key A tier. but I think she's a little bit overrated by the pros. I think she has just good survivability in a lot of cases, which can just be really beneficial in a lot of situations. But outside of that, I don't know. I mean, the hypercharge is okay, but I still just think she gets outranged too easily and taken down by those snipers too easily. Next up, we've got Rico as well. So Rico, in pro play, not actually like entirely the best, but I still think there's some underrated use cases for him. Probably pros might think Rico's C tier, honestly, but I still think his hypercharge is good, and his gadget, of course, is really broken still. Next, we've got Frank. So Frank, the play rates are really starting to plummet down with him. His hypercharge rate is still pretty good, so and just for the pure reason of if the opponents just have like a couple of low DPS brawlers, you can always just go a Frank just for his beefiness and his presence. Pearl is starting to drop down a little bit. I'm starting to see a lot less Pearl in Bounty and Knockout now. I don't actually know the reasons for it. Maybe it is just as more brawlers get hypercharges, Pearl just slowly gets forgotten because she just can't make that difference that other brawlers can with their purple. But Pearl is still a decent option. Larry and Laurie, the twins, just always seem to just about, like when you think of a thrower, normally there's just a better option, mainly because they have hypercharges. You see the common theme here, but there's still a safe pair of hands. I still see them being played in like triple dribble and a few other heavy thrower heavy maps. Squeak is next. So in terms of overrated brawlers in my ranked games, Squeak has to be in number 1. He's a good late pick, but people are playing him too early on in draft. He's still like a good option in the meta, but yeah, people need to learn that Squeak can still get counted very early on. He's going to get pressured because of his low reload speed. Next up, we have 8-Bit. So 8-Bit, again, always criminally underrated. It seems like he's more of a tournament brawler. By that I mean is that pros probably won't play too much 8-Bit when it comes down to scrims or ranked. But when it comes down to the real, like, game day, 8-Bit comes out because it's just such a safe option in gem grab as a gem carrier. Such a good brawler when it comes down to high stage. Just get that damage in. And yeah, just safe pair of hands. Next up, we've got Mr. P. So I believe right now Mr. P, don't know whether they've patched it by now, but Mr. P's hypercharge rate has just been bugged. It is now, I think, 2.5 supers to get instead of, I don't know whether it was, I think it was 4 in the past. So now he's able to cycle through hypercharges a little bit more effectively. So for that reason, he's got a lot better in the meta. But once they maybe do a maintenance with all of these bug fixes, there's so many of them, Mr. P probably just dropped straight back down to maybe even the F tier, to be honest. Next up, we've got Mandy. So Mandy is just so good in Bounty and Knockout still. I think it all comes down to the hypercharge, right? The hypercharge is completely busted in those game modes, can one-shot so many brawlers. Griff is next. So Griff's hypercharge is busted, but then also it requires just getting in the right position because his range with it isn't unlimited. It takes a long time to get the hypercharge as well, but he's still a good option and paired really well with brawlers like B. Piper is next. So Piper is a little bit of a weird one. So Piper's not as good as she used to be in like Knockout and some Bounty maps as well, just because she can get pressured a bit too easily. But on those really open maps, so good Piper will always just tap and just carry, especially with the hypercharge. Stu, Loki is at the bottom of the B tier right now. Not even Loki, I think he definitely is at the bottom of B tier, just because his hypercharge takes forever to get, and he's just not really been seen in pro play for the last, I don't know, 2-3 months now, to be honest, since that hypercharge rate nerf. Daryl is next. So Daryl is just so good in Knockout and Heist that he just has to be like a solid B tier brawler. The thing that's holding him back is definitely his terrible hypercharge. Outside of that, his rolls just equal free pressure. Cordelius' recent buff has definitely helped him a lot in the meta. He's just more of a safe pick when it comes to trying to counter those tanks, and also he's one of those brawlers that can just easily counter throws just through a jump gadget, so he's a good option right now. Again, Tara's really, really good in gem grab, but then when outside of that, you just don't really see her too often, but she's just really dangerous in that game mode because of a hypercharge, only taking 2 supercharge up, which will change the game. RT is next, and RT is always in the B tier or A tier because he's just so safe when it comes down to Knockout and Bounty. With his hypercharge, which is coming out in a month's time, expect him to fully be in the S tier. It's completely busted. Melody is next, and you've been seeing the play rates Melody drop for about 3 months now. This is because her hypercharge just takes a little bit too long to get, and with the recent Heist rework as well, it's definitely probably the biggest nerf to a brawler like Melody because it can push her back off the high safe, and other brawlers can just take her down when she gets knocked back. Bolly's next, and Bolly's always a really solid option when it comes down to hot zone and inside of a few Brawl instances as well, but I will say he does get overrun by tanks a little bit too easy. Janet is next, and again with that hypercharge buff, with that bug, sorry, she would have probably been S tier, but I think B's fair for her just because she takes a little bit too long to get a hypercharge now, but she's still really good in gem grab. Berry is so good when it comes down to hot zone, but outside of that, his play rates, you don't really see him play that often anymore. So, but hot zone is completely busted. Max as well, the play rates are completely plummeted with Max. I don't even know why, to be honest, because her hypercharge is still really good. And when again, if it comes down to tournament day, you can always rely on a Max, because who it really fundamentally counters Max? I think the biggest problem is actually just pure damage, because a lot of these brawlers at the top, as you will see, a lot of them are assassins and tanks. And next we got Byron. So again, he goes through these stages. He hasn't even got a hypercharge yet. He goes through these stages where he's just like, he's played a lot in competitive, and the next month you don't see him, and then the next month the pros remember he's actually really good again, and then it drops off again. So I think high B tier is fair for him. Ollie has definitely dropped down the rankings a little bit here. It just takes him a little bit too long to get into the game, and I think he's becoming a little bit predictable now with the jump, etc. But he's a good option in like bounty and a few knockout instances to secure that free kill. Willow has, her play rates are just all of a sudden just, and I mean skyrocketed. She was like low C tier in the meta, and then most pros are actually putting her in the A tier, wildly enough. I just think that's a bit of an overreaction, because she's one of the best brawlers when it comes down to Brawl right now, in triple dribble and a few other Brawl maps. But really outside of that, I don't know. I don't think she's as good as people are making out. Maybe I'm underestimating her a little bit, but I just think this is a period where pros just forgot Willow existed and then realized she's actually like pretty good because of the health buff. Her super is really good at defending against assassins, and that's the reason why pros think she's really good. But hypercharge isn't anything special. Juju has definitely fallen down the meta thanks to her supercharge rate nerf. You're just not really seeing her in as many places. She used to be a super versatile thrower that could always defend herself with super, but now she charges it a lot less frequently, so she's just a bit more easy to counter. Ash is in the high B tier because Ash has a lot of good matchups, but you don't really see him play like early on in the draft. He's more of a reactionary pick to counter brawlers like Hank, who are at the top of the meta. And lastly, we got Crow. So Crow got a big HP buff. I think that's just made him a lot more viable in a lot of places, but he's not like the pick when it comes down to like heist or gem grab, etc. He's just like okay. Now we're gonna be moving on to your A tier brawlers. So these are just a cut above the rest in the meta, and most of the time you want to be picking these options. Starting off the A tier with Bull. So I hold my hands up a little bit here. I think I underrated the Bull rework a bit, mainly because I don't know, maybe I just wasn't used to the rework mechanic, but I think Bull is just a really solid option when it comes to those bushier maps. And weirdly enough, he's just not really a heist brawler anymore. He's better in different instances. I think people will catch on to this rework though, and he will fall down the meta. But for now, the pros seem to think he's really good, so I feel like I just have to put him in the A tier for that reason. Again, my personal opinion, he would be in the B tier. Jester has definitely fallen down a bit thanks to his nerf to his supercharge from super, and that was one of the nerfs that I wanted, and it's definitely impacted him a lot in the meta. You know, he's still a good option, but his hypercharge isn't like completely a team white button anymore, which is fantastic. Belle is in the A tier. Belle is always in the A tier. She's always going to be picked in pro play because it's just down to whether you hit your shots or not, because she's just such an excellent option. Bo is next in the A tier, and Bo has been played a lot in pro play when it comes down to heights, when it comes down to hot zone as well. In ranked, he's so good. Outside of that, he's like okay, but those two game modes, the hypercharge is just so good, and especially in heist, you can deal so much damage. Amber is next in the A tier, so this is again, Amber's just really a flexible option in the meta. A hypercharge takes a long time to get, but once you get it, it's just a free couple of kills. It's just so easy to cycle through supers as well with Amber. Doug is in the A tier, and this is my personal opinion as well. I think when it comes down to the pro meta right now, he is just a B tier option, maybe like even low B tier. But I think this is, again, people are going to be underrating Doug for a little while as they learn the strategies. I don't think he's as broken as maybe I thought and a lot of people would think with how fast his super charges. This is mainly because Doug is kind of like a flawed healer in that sense, because he has to constantly be close to somebody. So it can easily get countered by a lot of brawlers like Lou, Griff, etc. A lot of these tank counters have like purple buttons that equal team wipe that can still overall Doug's healing. So I'm a little bit disappointed that Doug hasn't broken the meta, but yeah, I think like low A tier would be where I'll be putting him. Gray is next, and Gray is always going to be an S or A tier brawler in the meta thanks to his hypercharge and his walking cane. He has some really good strategies in hot zone and gem grab, and in knockout and bounty he's one of the best brawlers, absolutely. Buster as well, and thanks to getting his hypercharge for free, his gadget is really busted, and he's just a safe pair of hands. You can never really go wrong with Buster in draft. Gene is next, and again, you can never really go wrong with Gene. He's always on the top 15 brawlers in the game because he's so good in bounty and knockout in particular. Angelo as well, just so good on those water-based maps, whether it be in heist, whether it be in knockout, whether it be in bounty. You can never go wrong with Angelo. There's hardly any brawlers that counter Angelo. Next, we've got B. B starting to fall down a little bit in the meta, mainly because there's just brawlers like Charlie and other options that can just overrule B a little bit, but B is still like an excellent option when it comes down to like hot zone, any like open map. B can still thrive thanks to her gadget and hypercharge. Carl is still a really good option. I think there's still the speed bug in the game right now, so Carl's super is just that bit better. His heat ejector gadget is still really solid, and with Carl you can always just change his build in draft. So whether you want to use Flying Hook in bounty to get the blue star, it's just always a use case for Carl. Lou, it's still absolutely at the top of the meta, and that's thanks to his hypercharge. It can just successfully take down so many of the top brawlers inside of the game, and there's hardly any counterplay to it. Lily is just completely busted when it comes down to her hypercharge. I still feel like her gadget vanish is still like a little bit too low in cooldown rate, because you can just make so many plays with it. It's just still completely busted, but the hypercharge is just the reason why she's so broken. It's just a free kill every single time, especially in gem grab. It's a game changer. Bonnie is next, and Bonnie's one of these underrated brawlers where the hypercharge is actually insane. It is so strong. I still feel like she hasn't found her foot completely in pro play right now, but I think people will realize just how strong this hypercharge is. Kenji is next. Again, the purple button is just a complete menace. His just normal his normal default self is still good as well, because he can get around the map and apply a lot of pressure. Hypercharge takes a little bit longer to get than usual, but he's still going to be good in a lot of different instances. And lastly in the A tier we have Finks. So I think Finks used to be like a top 5 brawler easily, but he's dropped down in the meta mainly because there's a lot of new broken hypercharge brawlers, which Finks just can't deal with on his own, but he's still a good option when it comes down to Brawl, gem grab and hot zone. Now we're going to be moving on to your S tier options in the meta. These are the best of the best. You pretty much want to pick these no matter what, because they're going to be such a solid option. So first off in the S tier we have Jae-Yong. Jae-Yong recently got married, and he's still just as good in the meta. This is without a hypercharge as well. It's Jae-Yong. His gadget, his damage one is just so good. His main attack, just being able to speed no matter what, is just really versatile. You can just play Jae-Yong in pretty much every situation, and you can get away with it as long as you pair him with a little bit of damage. Charlie is in the S tier. I predicted this when not many people predicted it with her range buff. She's fully back in the meta. This is just a range buff is normally huge for a lot of brawlers because it just allows them to compete a bit better, extra damage, extra supercharge rate. And her Spider's gadget can be really annoying against those snipers. I just think she's such a good option, and her super has always been one of the most toxic things inside of the game. She's been played all of the time by the pros right now, so yeah, finally people are realizing how strong Charlie is. But I was the first on that bandwagon. Okay, next we've got Shade. So kind of as predicted, Shade is at the top of the meta with his hypercharge. I think I predicted his hypercharge to be second best out of all of them. I was a little bit worried because his speed doesn't stack in his super anymore. Don't know whether that's intentional. So normally when you activate a super before your first one runs out, you just keep going up in speed, keep ramping up in speed, and that makes him really strong. But even with that, he was like a C tier option. So now his hypercharge just came out. It's just a team white button at the moment. So if they was to fix this bug, potentially he could probably be one of the best brawlers in the game. I'm scared for that. But the good thing about Shade is that you can pop your super and then activate hypercharge afterwards, so you can catch the opponents by surprise and just take them down so quickly. He basically free taps every brawl inside of a game. He's insane right now. Next we've got Gus. Gus is just so good into everything in the meta thanks to just his damage that he puts out. It's just so consistent. His super is just so good at defending, and also pairs really well with a lot of these top brawlers in the meta. And his hypercharge is just an extension of that, and hardly any assassins can really take him down once he charges that hypercharge. Next we've got Hank in the top 5. So Hank, he's still Hank. he's not really receiving any meaningful nerfs, and he's just still such a good option into everything. And the reason why he'll be so strong is because of the healing he gets through super. I think once they fix that, or nerf his super rate, then supercharge rate, then he probably will be a little bit worse. But Hank's just free pressure. He's got a lot of HP. He's got a lot of tankiness with his gadget. Yeah, he's just still such a good brawler when it comes down to pro play. Lumi is next, and again, I still have my reservations about Lumi at the minute. I think pros are playing it a little bit safe in keeping her banned out. She's still a really good option, don't get me wrong, but I think as time goes on, I'm going to predict that Lumi will fall down a little bit. I think actually the main reason why she's so strong, yes, she's got a hypercharge, which has just allowed her to be a bit better, but I still think that gadget is so busted because now she lacks the range with the range nerf, but still the gadget allows her to push the opponents back, and then that can allow her to get into position where she doesn't really need her range to combat, if that makes sense, right? She just literally got a green button that gives her free positioning on the map. It's kind of busted when you think about it. In the top 3, of course, we've got Kaze. So Kaze, funny enough, was definitely a top 10 brawler in the game just before she received a buff, and then she received a HP buff out of nowhere, and she's just easily nested brawler in the meta. This is thanks to her Fanstorm super being very underrated and just getting you free map control. Her main attack can just help you push up the map really easily thanks to its fast unload and reload speed. And then Ninja Form is just really good at building up super, finishing off kills in a 1 versus 1. The hype charge rate is very fast with Kaze, super flexible brawler, and of course the brawler, which has 2 different modes in one, is going to be really, really strong. Next we've got Draco. So Draco's hypercharge is completely and utterly busted. We predicted this anyways if Draco was ever going to receive a hypercharge, because we all kind of knew that he would just receive a really broken fire dragon, which would just like, it would either just be really wide or it'd be just really long. It's actually like both. It's both, and then they've added more flames on top of that, so extra DPS. You literally melt through everything within its range. You only get that 5 seconds, but that's all it takes to literally get team wipes with Draco completely busted on top of his already broken gadget. And already, like, he's been played a lot in pro play. I think it's a bit overrated because, you know, without him going into the right matchups, he was easy to take down. But now he just needs his purple button, which he can also get through receiving damage. He's just completely and utterly busted right now. And finally, as the best brawler in the game right now, I'm still going to go with Ali. So I've not tested Ali enough in ranked, but I just still see the potential in her. She's completely and utterly broken right now. The reason why I don't see her in ranked is because she's just banned out non-stop. But I wanted a little bit more data playing against her, but I still just think there's so many broken things about her, like her gadget just gives her free reload speed and extra range, which is just absolutely crazy. When she's enraged, right, she gets that extra dash range and extra jump range. The extra reload speed as well is just, of course, really clutch. Extra movement, extra DPS, and it's not a lot of people can do, right? When you've got Mortis and Miko combined, what are you supposed to do? And especially when she's got such a fast unload speed as well, she's going to beat a lot of people in that 1 versus 1 on top of a super that is invisibility, on top of like double damage. She destroys tanks, and as an assassin, not a lot of assassins completely just destroy tanks in 1 versus 1, but Ali does, and she also just is so versatile. She can go over water, blah 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 blah. We all knew the new brawler was going to be really strong, but this broken, yeah, insane. So that's going to be it for today's tier list, guys. Again, apologies for running through things pretty quickly. Maybe it's not going to be the most accurate one I anticipate. Like normally, like this is a lot of like other people's opinions, to be honest, in terms of like mine. Like I've got a lot of my own opinions on this meta, but I'm just not able to play it as much as before, just because of course like I got married, right, and I'm going on my honeymoon. So but I think most of this is accurate. Again, there'll be like a few that are a little bit you know, like Doug, for example, probably isn't A tier, but that's just more of my meta prediction in the coming weeks. So that's gonna be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.